Hello, everyone. My name is Elmo Bulaon, and today I'm going to talk about identifying and understanding a research problem, an important first step when conducting any research. When we begin our research, it's essential to clearly define the problem we want to study. This helps guide our process, gives our work direction, and ensures that our findings are meaningful and relevant. What is a research problem? Now, let me start by explaining what a research problem usually actually means. A research problem is basically a big question or issue that is important enough for someone like a researcher, government, or society to want to investigate and understand better. It needs to be written clearly and simply so everyone knows exactly what the researcher is trying to figure out. A research problem is a specific issue, situation, or question that our researchers want to address. A research problem is the main question, issue, or concern that your research is trying to understand or solve. For example, student sleep and academic performance. The main research problem. Does the amount of sleep students get affect their academic performance? This is the core question that the research wants to answer. It's clear, it's specific, and important. Now, let's talk about why the research problem is such an important part of any research project. Coming up with a clear focus, research problem, the most important part and probably the hardest part of doing research, if the main problem isn't clear, the whole research project can become confusing and lose direction. A research problem is important because a clearly defined research problem helps the researcher stay focused, guides the choice of methods and data collection, helps avoid wasting time or irrelevant information, and makes the research meaningful and useful. Now, let's talk about the characteristics of a good research problem. There are six things to look for. Number one is clear and specific. Your research problem should not be vague or confusing anyone who reads it. It should immediately understand what you're trying to explore or solve. The more focused it is, the better results will be. Researchable. This means you must be able to actually collect data or evidence to answer the question. If there's no way to observe, measure or study the problem, then it's not suitable for research. Feasible. A good research problem is also realistic. You should be able to complete your study using the time, resources, and tools that are available to you. If it is too big or too complicated, it might not be practical. By making sure your research problem meets this criteria, you'll set a strong foundation for a successful and meaningful research project. Let's continue with a few more important characteristics that make a research problem truly effective and valuable. Let's continue with a few more important characteristics. Next is relevant. The problem should be important and meaningful, not just to you, but also to your field of study, society, or the scientific community. A relevant research problem has the potential to make a real impact. Ethical. Your research should not be or not cause harm or raise serious ethical concerns. It must respect the rights and safety of any participants and follow proper ethical guidelines throughout the process. Ideally, the next one is novel. It should explore something new or look at an existing problem in a new way. Now that we know what a research problem is and why it's important, you might be asking, how do I actually come up with a good research problem? Here's a step-by-step formula to help you get started. Step 1. Start with an area of interest. Think about a topic that you're passionate about or curious to explore. This makes the researcher process more enjoyable and meaningful for you as researcher. Step 2. Do some background reading. Look into what's already been studied about your topic. What do we already know? What are people still unsure about? Are there any debates or unanswered questions? Step 3. Identify a gap or issue. Ask yourself, is there something missing, unexplored, or not fully understood? In this area, the gap is open where your research problem will come from, a specific issue that needs further investigation. By following these steps, you'll be able to move from general topic to a clear, focused, and researchable problem that forms the foundation of your study. Let's continue with the final steps in formulating a strong research problem. Step 4. Turn the issue into a research question. Once you have identified a gap or issue, try to turn it into a clear question. Ask yourself, what exactly do I want to know or find out? This helps sharpen your focus. Step 5. Narrow it down. Avoid broad or general questions like how does education affect society? Instead, make it specific and manageable. Like how does online learning affect student motivation in senior high school? And it's step 6, test it, or what we call test your question. Before you move forward, you have to ask yourself if it is doable. Is it relevant and important? Can I gather data to answer this? If the answer is yes, then you've got a solid research problem to build on. By following all these steps, you can develop a research problem that is clear, focused, and researchable, giving your project a strong foundation right from the beginning. As we continue investing our time and interest in doing research, it's natural for more questions to pop into our minds. One question that researchers often ask is, how many research problems should there be? Well, don't worry. Nobody wants too many problems. The answer is simple. There should be just one main research problem. There is the central issue your research will focus on solving or understanding. However, you can break that main problem into smaller or related research questions to help guide your investigation step by step. In some cases, a study may explore a cluster of related questions, especially in complex research. But be careful. This can make things more complicated and harder to manage. So, to keep your research clear and focused, stick to one strong, well-defined main problem and build around if it's needed. Now, here's another question that might be popping into our mind. How does a research actually find a research problem? Yes, more questions, but don't worry. The more I explain and discuss this topic with you, the more you realize that finding a research problem is not as difficult as it seems. Especially what you know, what to look for. In fact, there are many simple and practical ways researchers discover meaningful problems to study, whether it's from a real life situation, personal interest, current events, or gas in existing research. So, in this next part of the presentation, I'll walk you through how researchers find and choose a good research problem or topic by step by step. Number one is scanning for topics. Let's dive into the first step in finding a research problem, and that is scanning for topics. This step is all about looking around, staying curious, and identifying possible interests or area of interest. Here are some simple but powerful ways to do it. Start with something you're really interested in. You'll need motivation to keep going or stay committed. So choose a topic you care about or are curious to explore. Think the value of your research. Ask yourself, will this topic bring a new idea, improve understanding, create a new solution, or help solve a real world problem? If yes, that's a great start. Next is make sure you can get data. Even if a topic sounds exciting, you have to check. Can I actually gather enough information or data for this? If not, it might be better to adjust this topic. Next is look for unexplained patterns or question in existing data. Sometimes the data that we already have shows something strange or unexpected, and those open gaps can lead to amazing research questions. Be creative and think differently. Don't be afraid to explore unique ideas or lesser known topics. Innovation often comes from looking old things from new angles. So, scanning for topics is really about being curious, thoughtful, open minded, and it's the very first step toward discovering a strong research problem. As we continue exploring how to find a good research problem, the next important step is to understand a scope of your research. So, what does scope mean? The scope of research study refers to how much and what exactly you're going to study. In simple terms, it sets the boundaries of your project. Once you've chosen a research question, you need to narrow it down so it is not too broad or too big to finish. If your topic is too big, you won't have enough time or resources to study it properly. It can quickly become overwhelming, not too narrow. On the other hand, if your topic is too small, it might not be meaningful and there might not be enough to explore or analyze. Realistic or possible to do with the time, budget, and resources you have. You also have to make sure that the topic fits your time. As I said, fits your budget and fits the available resources you have. Choosing the right scope helps keep your researcher focused or your research focused, manageable, and meaningful, all of which are key to successful study. Let's now talk about how to narrow the scope of a research topic so it's clear, focused, and manageable. One simple way to do is by concept. In other words, by choosing what exactly you want to study with a broader topic. Here's how it works. Start with general topic and then make it more specific step by step. For example, broad housing, narrower rental housing, even more specific, public rental housing for low-income families. As you can see, each step focuses on the topic more clearly And this makes it easier to develop a strong research question and design a realistic study. How to narrow the scope of topic in few simple ways. When you're working on time, when you study it, focus on specific time period. Example, when it's broad, traditional houses. Narrower, traditional houses in the 17th century. And how to narrow the scope of topic in a few simple ways, like place or location where you study it. Focus on specific area or region. Example, when it's broad, the traditional houses in the Philippines, and when it's narrower, traditional houses in Vigan, Ilocos Sur. Here are a few tips to help you narrow your scope. Ask yourself, what specific part of this topic am I most interested? Consider who is your research for, which group, community, or system. Think about what realistic to study within your timeline and resources. Narrowing your topic by concept helps turn a big idea into something clear, researchable, and impactful. Now, let's move on to another important step in creating a good research problem, and that is justification. The justification answers one big question. What am I doing this research? In simple terms, this is where you explain the reason or purpose behind your study. It shows why your research matters, not just to you, but also to your field, to your society, or to the people who might benefit from your findings. Why do you need justification? Now, as a researcher, you might be asking yourself, why do I even need a justification for my research problem? That's a great question. And the answer is simple. You need to show that your research is important and useful. Your study shouldn't be done just for personal interest, like I want to learn more about this topic. Instead, your research should be contributing something meaningful to your field or to your society. Here are a few solid reasons for having a strong justification. Adding knowledge. Your research could explore something that hasn't been studied before or look at an old topic in a new way. It helps solve a real world problem. Maybe your study can provide answers or solutions that help people, communities, or industries. Next is informing policies or decisions. In some cases, your findings might guide decision makers, improve programs, or influence change. So justification isn't just formality. It's your way of showing that your research matters and has a clear purpose beyond just curiosity. Now that we understand why justification is important, let's talk about how to write a strong justification. To write a good justification, there are two keys you need to show. First, what is missing or not yet known in the current research? And that is called research gap. Maybe previous studies didn't focus on certain group, location, or perspective. Or maybe something has changed and the topic needs to be updated. Pointing out this gap shows that your research isn't just a repeat. It has a real purpose. Second, you need to explain why your study matters or why it is useful. You can support this by sharing facts, recent data, a statistic that show the problem is real and needs attention. For example, suppose you want to study why teenagers start smoking. Justification might be teenage smoking is a serious health problem. Recent data shows that 20% of teenagers in our city smoke regularly. Understanding why they start smoking will help us create better programs to prevent smoking. In this example, you show that the problem affects many people. Your research will help solve real issue. Now that we talk about justification of your research or why your study is important, let's move on to the next key part, research objectives. So what are research objectives? In simple terms, objectives are what you want to achieve with your research. This describes the goals or results you're aiming for the end of your study. Here are a few important points to remember. Objectives show what you want to find out or do through your research. They help guide the direction and focus your study. Usually, there are few clear objectives, not just one. For example, you might want to examine causes, compare groups, or measure impacts. Things like reading articles or collecting data are not objectives. They are steps or activities to help reach your objectives. Those are activities of steps you do during the process, not the actual goals of your research. So think of objectives as the outcomes of your working toward. They help your research focused, organized, and meaningful from start to finish. Now that we know what research objectives are, let's talk about how to write them properly. The key is to use clear and specific action words that show exactly what you plan to do in your study. Here are some strong words you can use when writing your objectives. First one is describe. For when you want to give details about situation or group. Explore. If you're looking into something new, not all, or not well understand. Understand. To show you're trying to gain deeper insight into topic. Determine when you want to find out the cause or effect of something. Explain if you're aiming to clarify how or why something happens. Evaluate when you're measuring the success or impact of something. Predict if you're trying to guess future trends based on your findings. And the last one is recommend to suggest actions or solutions based on your results. Using these kinds of words helps make your objective is specific, focused, and measurable, which is exactly what you need for a strong research project. Example, if you're studying a new law about recycling, your objectives could be to determine how the new recycling law affects household behavior, to explain challenges faced by local recycling centers, to recommend ways to improve recycling programs. Let's look at the simple example to help you see how research objectives are written in a real study. Suppose your research is about a new law on recycling. And that's what I mentioned before. To determine how the recycling law affects household behaviors, for the objective one, and for the objective to explain challenges faced by local recycling centers, and the objective three is to recommend ways to improve recycling programs. As we reach the final step in developing a strong research problem, here's one of the last but very important point. Get feedback. Once you've come up with a research problem or question, don't stop there. It's essential to ask feedback from experts or experienced researchers, mentors. Why is this so important? They can spot problems you might not see. Maybe your topic is too broad, or maybe it's not researchable the way you thought. Feedback helps you catch these issues early. They can help improve the wording and clarity. Even if your idea is so great, it needs to be communicated clearly and professionally. Experts can help you refine your questions so it's easy to understand and focus. It saves time and effort. By getting feedback before you start collecting data, you avoid wasting time on a weak or unworkable research problem. So before you move forward with the next stages of your research problem, take a moment to share your idea, ask questions, and be open to suggestion. Remember, a good research starts with a clear, focused, and well-reviewed research problem. Here are the references of my report, of my presentation. So here's a short quote from Albert Einstein. We cannot solve problems with the same thinking we used to create them. That brings us to the end of my presentation on creating a good research problem. I hope this discussion helped you understand the importance of each step, from identifying a clear topic, writing a strong justification, setting our research objectives, and finally, getting valuable feedback. If you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer all of them to the best of my knowledge. Once again, thank you so much for watching and listening. And of course, a big thank you to our professor, Dr. Emerson Cabudo, for the guidance and support throughout this process. This is Alma Bulaon and I appreciate your time. Until next time, happy researching!